where the wave was invented. Downstairs, under me. Y'all, ask Biggerville. Y'all call him Biggerville Max B. I know him as Charlie Rambo.
Charlie Rambo.
I'm from the building where the wave was invented, and it was invented after I was born. I'm a typhoon. And no disrespect to Biggerville, because that's my brother. That's my little brother. I just spoke to Max motherfucking 2 weeks ago. That's my brother. Max tell you though, I've been outside. I'm from the building where the wave was invented.
Fans, we just sold out the Brooklyn Paramount less than 24 hours. Nobody had to double back and get y'all another day. January 17th, Brooklyn Paramount, the double back. We calling it the double back dawn.
That's kind of how I missed out on Max B. I'm just being straight up honest. And Jim ended up signing him because Jim seen the vision, but because Jim had an outside vision of Max. I grew up with Max, Charlie Rambo, nigga play all day.
Max B and Jim Jones were once tight like family, but the second Jim pushed that bond to the side, everything flipped fast and wild. That's when Max stopped being Jim's hidden advantage and turned into the one storm Jim could never outrun. People couldn't believe it when talk started spreading about Max getting mixed up with Jim's girl, wrecking his ride, and turning Harlem into a boiling zone just to show he wasn't playing at all. Max moved like he had something to prove, and the streets felt every bit of it. Charlie Wingate grew up in Harlem, New York, right in the middle of that uptown pressure where toughness was the daily language. His story starts in the Abraham Lincoln Projects, where every day felt like a test you had to pass just to make it to the next. Max's early life was rough, with his mother battling addiction and going in and out of prison, leaving his grandmother to keep the household steady. She was the one solid rock he had, but even she couldn't fully protect him from the streets waiting right outside the door like a trap.
I'm just being straight up honest. And Jim ended up signing him because Jim seen the vision, but because Jim had an outside vision of Max. I grew up with Max, Charlie Rambo, nigga play all day. Nigga throwing piss on the bums, joking all the time. So when he came to me and said he gonna start rapping, I was like, yo, Charlie, stop playing. His exact words was killer. They were like, no, let's get this shit clicking like Dorothy's heels. I said, yo, this nigga play too much, man. So sometime you gotta see the vision, but it's a lot of people that I seen that not necessarily still live in New York. They live outside of New York, and still people who live in New York who be like, Cam, I'm from Harlem. You gotta put me on, da 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 da.
Ready to snap. Long before the East Coast was singing his hooks word for word, young Charlie was shaping his voice in the boys' choir of Harlem. That's where the early pieces of that classic Max B sound were born. The drifting melodies, that smooth sing rap energy, and the wavy tone that would soon put a whole era under his influence. But even music couldn't block out the danger that kept getting closer. By 18, Max was already caught up in some serious street trouble that changed everything. In 1997, he got hit with a robbery case and ended up serving around 8 years, a stretch that would have crushed a lot of people. But Max wasn't built like most. Prison didn't break him, it sharpened him and made him even more focused. When he came home in 2005, he stepped out with a fresh name, a new mindset, and the confidence that came from surviving a real pressure. That's when the world got introduced to Max Biggerville.
And it's like, bro, let me tell you one thing about Harlem. If you good or you hot, they gonna support. Harlem can't wait to branch on to somebody that's good and say, yo, these niggas is hot, or this person hot, let's move, let's do it. Not only that, the other bros will pick up, because you know how many niggas from Queens or Brooklyn or the Bronx, everybody come to Harlem, or at least they used to. So niggas be like, yo, you got a Harlem nigga? You know how frustrating it used to be watching 100 niggas from Long Island get on? EPMD, Eric B, Rakim, motherfucking Biz Markie. But then you think about Queens, you think about LL Cool J, Tribe Called Quest, Nas, 50 Cent, Run DMC. The list goes on. Brooklyn, shit, Big Daddy Kane, motherfucking fat, all these people. So in Harlem, we used to say like, yo, Harlem got a jinx, man. Harlem got a jinx. I don't think none of us ever getting on, because nobody had been on since Dougie Fresh, Rob Bass, or Kumo D. It was a drought till Mace came. And
the title he created from legends, Biggie Smalls, Machiavelli, Tupac, and Jigga Jay-Z. In his eyes, he was the perfect blend. The smooth delivery, the honest pain, and the hustler spirit, all combined into one unstoppable force. When Max came home, Harlem was already blazing with energy. The diplomats were running the whole scene. Cameron and Jim Jones had the neighborhood moving like they owned every block. Max linked back up with Cam, and through that connection, he got introduced to Jim Jones, and before long, he signed with Jim's label, Bird Gang, teaming up with legendary producer Dame Grease. The second they hit the studio, the chemistry snapped into place like fate. Max dropped his first mixtape, $1 Million Baby, in 2006, and the streets lit up instantly. His voice, his bold confidence, and that raw, unpredictable energy made everything he touched feel fresh and dangerous in the best way possible. It felt like Harlem had just discovered a lightning strike walking around on two legs, shaking everything up. Gang now had two rising heavy hitters, Max B and Stack Bundles, and with both of them on deck.
That's the name of this joint right here, the Double Back Dawn, Part 2. We coming out, we gonna make it a movie. You already know, Max Bigger Val signing out. Peace.
Where the wave was invented. Downstairs, under me. Child, ask Bigger Val. Y'all call him Bigger Val Max B. I know him as Charlie Rambo.
Charlie Rambo.
I'm from the building where the wave was invented, and it was invented after I was born. I'm a typhoon. And no disrespect to Bigger Val, because that's my brother. That's my little brother. I just spoke to Max motherfucking 2 weeks ago. That's my brother. Max tell you though, I've been outside. I'm from the building where the wave.
Jim Jones was sitting on a serious money machine. Max quickly became Jim's secret weapon, the one who could hop on the track and turn it into a hit with one hook or one wavy verse. Songs like Baby Girl turned into straight-up classics, and anytime Max's voice floated across a record, the whole vibe shot to another level. But even with the music climbing, the streets stayed close behind Max like a shadow that refused to disappear. In September 2006, everything flipped into chaos. Max heard something through his ex, Gina Conway, about a flashy guy named Alan J. Plowden, a smooth talker running a mortgage and mail fraud hustle while showing off piles of cash and cruising in luxury cars. Gina told Max all about this dude, and she later claimed that jealousy mixed with ambition pushed everything in a dangerous direction. According to her, Max told her they could hit a lick and everyone involved would eat good. What happened next is still argued to this day, but the outcome was tragic.
We just sold out the Brooklyn Paramount less than 24 hours. We had to double back and get y'all another day. January 17th, Brooklyn Paramount, the double back. We calling it the Double Back Dawn. That's the name of this joint right here, the Double Back Dawn, Part 2. We coming out, we gonna make it a movie. You already know, Max Bigger Val signing out. Peace.
Max wasn't physically there when the situation went down, but prosecutors insisted he was the mastermind working behind the scenes. Gina, who was in the fast lane dealing the stripping, testified that Max told her and his stepbrother Kelvin Aldo to go rob Plowden in a Holiday Inn in New Jersey. The plan sounded simple on paper, but the whole thing started falling apart right from the jump. Gina with Sims were reportedly driving around for hours, getting lost, missing turns, and wasting precious time. So by the time they finally made it inside the room, Plowden was already back, sleeping next to another woman. Then everything got even messier when David Taylor walked in, a man that wasn't even supposed to be part of the picture. Sims panicked hard, and in that panic, he ended up shooting Taylor in the face execution style, turning a sloppy robbery into a full-on murder case that nobody could undo. Gina Conway was the first one to fold under pressure. Once she got caught, she let everything spill, giving up every detail she could to protect herself. She handed over a 169-page statement and pointed directly at Max. As the one who set the whole plan in motion, she claimed Max promised everything, money, loyalty, forever, as long as she helped him. And when authorities came for Max, they didn't hold back at all. He got arrested and hit with felony changing charges, and his bail was set at a huge $2 million. While Max sat in a cold cell stressing every minute, the world outside kept moving without him. Jim Jones, the same man who signed Max and brought him in the Bird Game, was suddenly everywhere. That's when Jim dropped We Fly High, better known as Ballin', a track that blew up instantly and became his biggest anthem ever. Max later claimed he wrote it, saying he ghost wrote that smash along with many of Jim's biggest records. But while Jim was doing interviews and stacking up even more success, Max was locked up fighting for his freedom and whatever was left of his career. After 10 long months, Max's bail finally dropped to $90,000. And that's when Jim stepped back into the picture, but not with the loyalty people thought he would show. Instead of helping Max out like a true friend,
nigga throwing piss on the bums, joking all the time. So when he came to me and said he gonna start rapping, I was like, yo, Charlie, stop playing. His exact words was killing me. Like, no, let's get this shit clicking like Dorothy's heels. I say, yo, this nigga play too much, man. So sometimes you gotta see the vision, but it's a lot of people that I seen that not necessarily still live in New York. They live outside of New York, and still people who live in New York who'll be like, Kim, I'm from Harlem. You gotta put me on, da 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 da. And it's like, bro, let me tell you one thing about Harlem. If you good or you hot, they gonna support. Harlem can't wait to branch on to somebody that's good and say, yo, these niggas is hot, or this person hot, let's move, let's do it. Not only that, the other boroughs will pick up. Cause you know how many niggas from Queens or Brooklyn or the Bronx, everybody come to Harlem, or at least they used to. So niggas be like, yo, you got a Harlem nigga? You know how frustrating it used to be? Watching 100 niggas from Long Island get on? EPMD, Eric B, Rakim, motherfucking Biz Markie. And then you think about Queens, you think about LL Cool J, Tribe Called Quest, Nas, 50 Cent, Run DMC. The list goes on. Brooklyn, shit, Big Daddy Kane, motherfucking fat, all these people. So in Harlem, we used to say like, yo, Harlem got a jinx, man. Harlem got a jinx. I don't think none of us ever getting on, because nobody had been on since Dougie Fresh, Rob Bass, or Kumo D. It was a drought till Mace came and broke the drought. So
he used the bail situation as leverage, according to reports. Jim agreed to cover the bail only if Max signed over his publishing and locked himself into a 6-album deal under him. Stuck in a cold cell with no real choices, Max signed the papers because he had nothing else to lean on. Jim walked away owning the publishing behind that legendary wavy sound, while Max walked out of jail into a future where almost nothing truly belonged to him. When Max B stepped out in July 2007, he wasn't the same person anymore. He came out colder, sharper, and carrying a heavy weight of anger he didn't bother hiding. He was broke, he felt betrayed, and he was trapped in a deal that took his future away. All while the person benefiting the most was the man he once called family, Jim Jones. Max had been sitting in that cell hearing the streets chant his name on mixtapes and DVDs like he was some untouchable hood legend. And the louder people celebrated Wavy, the clearer things got for him. If Jim wasn't going to lift him up, Max was ready to flip the entire situation. Max had every reason to feel played. This wasn't regular business. It was deep financial damage and personal disrespect. Jim Jones owned Max's entire publishing, meaning every hook Max crafted, every smooth ad-lib, every catchy line that had people replaying songs. Jim was collecting the checks from that, every single piece of it. And to Max, this wasn't just about money. It was about loyalty that got stomped out. The friendship was shattered, the trust was gone, and Max was walking around with a mind full of revenge and a heart iced out. With everything falling apart, he finally stepped away from Brain with the mission. If Jim Jones wasn't going to give him what he earned, Max was ready to call him out in public, and he wasn't holding nothing back. Not long after, Max linked up with the perfect person to stand with him, French Montana. At that time, French wasn't the superstar he later became. He was known as a sharp street figure with a gritty presence, mainly recognized for his Cocaine City DVD series that showed the raw, day-to-day reality of the Bronx and other hoods. French already had tension with Jim Jones because of an old shooting situation where people said Jim was spreading bad talk about him. Together, Max and French formed a dangerous alliance, and the moment they teamed up, the whole energy around Harlem started shifting fast. When Max and French linked up, it wasn't just about making music. It was a bond, fueled with shared beef and real street frustration. They formed their crew, Coke Wave, and it quickly became one of the hardest-hitting, most aggressive mixtape movements the streets had ever seen. Max already knew the industry wasn't about to save him. He had no publishing, no label, no machine behind him. But he did have a voice the streets respected and a natural talent that nobody could mute.
So he did what a real hustler does when the door gets slammed in his face. He went underground and took control of his own destiny. He started dropping music for free, letting the streets hear everything the industry tried to bury. And the streets ate it up fast. But he wasn't just releasing songs. He was sending out verbal bombs aimed straight at Jim Jones and anybody standing next to him. Max wasn't holding anything back at all. The first major shot he fired came through a mixtape called Public Domain 3, and from that moment, the whole situation looked ready to blow up. The mixtape cover alone sent shockwaves everywhere. Max standing in a graveyard next to tombstones carved with names like Millie Jim Jones and Vanelli Plus, and Jules Santana flipped into Joel Santana, clowning them like they were some old Milli Vanilli act accused of faking their whole sound. In Max's eyes, Jim and Jules were trying to ride the wave he created, and he wasn't shy about pointing that out. He kept coming with tracks like Sinning, rapping, dropping lines like, "I know them dudes need me. I was giving them the loop, but them dudes done blew it." Every bar felt like another jab, and Max delivered each one with a grin you could practically hear through the speakers. But Max didn't stop at the music. He started challenging reputations, images, and everything Jim Jones was trying to build in the public eye. One of the most explosive moments in the beef came when Max released a disrespectful track called "She Touched It in Miami," where he hinted, without giving graphic details, that there were lines crossed involving Jim's longtime partner, Chrissy Lampkin. Max didn't describe anything explicit. He just implied betrayal while laughing his way through the verses, and that alone was enough to make the streets buzz like crazy. The whole situation became hotter than ever, and with every track Max dropped, the tension climbed even higher. Max painted Jim as someone getting embarrassed by people inside his own circle, and the streets reacted fast. They ate that drama up like it was the news of the week. Jim Jones was stunned because he never thought Max would push the situation this far. He tried shutting everything down by denying Max's claims and brushing them off like he was some washed-up artist who never had real momentum. Jim even insisted Max didn't write "We Fly High," but the streets weren't buying that at all. Max's voice was clearly heard on early reference versions floating around, and it made people start wondering how much of the Dipset catalog had Max's fingerprints quietly stamped all over it. Max wasn't just talking tough, he moved like someone ready for real conflict. He even claimed Jim tried setting him up in a parking lot one day. According to Max, he spotted the move early, smashed his way out by ramming Jim's Bentley, and even landed a couple of punches before peeling off. It sounded wild, but Max proudly showed the dents in his car like they were trophies from battle. French Montana and others backed the story, and soon it turned into straight Harlem folklore. Then November 2008 hit, and everything jumped to a whole new level. Max and French pulled up deep to a Manhattan building where Jim was recording and walked right inside with full confidence. They made it clear that the city wasn't sweet for Jim anymore. Max later claimed Jim saw the pressure coming and ended up calling the cops, which made the moment way more embarrassing for him. Not long after, both sides clashed again at the G-Union of a Brooklyn club, and the place exploded into a full-out brawl. Chairs flying, people rushing everywhere, and even canine units storming in to shut it all down. It felt like a scene straight out of a movie, but for Max and Jim, it was real tension, real consequences, and real pressure. By the time everything cooled down, Max B had done way more than just disrespect Jim Jones. He turned Jim into a running joke across the streets. Max turned into a cult figure, the type of artist that didn't need a label or industry push to have the city talking. Even while stuck in contracts that kept him from his own profits, he kept building his legend the underground way, flooding the streets with tracks people still blasted every day. And while Max's music kept spreading, the beef with Jim Jones traveled right along with it, popping up on mixtapes, DVDs, and conversations everywhere. Even while the mixtapes were buzzing, Max B was quietly walking toward the biggest fight of his entire life, one that could lock his wave in concrete forever. On June 9th, 2009, Max stepped into the Bergen County Courthouse with a level of confidence only he could pull off. Cameras were rolling, supporters were behind him, and he moved with that same wavy rhythm like he truly believed the storm was about to break in his favor. His legal team walked in bold too, claiming they had torn apart the prosecution's key witness during cross-examination. That witness was Gina Conway, the woman at the center of everything. She had turned herself in and testified against Max and his stepbrother, Kelvin Aldo Sims, in exchange for a lighter sentence. Max's lawyer insisted she wasn't telling the truth at all, calling her a hurt ex who was saying whatever she had to in order to protect herself. But courtrooms don't care about swagger. They run on evidence, perception, and whatever story the jury believes. And when the jury came back with their decision, Max's world flipped in an instant. He was found guilty on 9 out of 11 counts, including armed robbery, conspiracy, aggravated assault, and felony murder. The prosecution painted Max as the one who planned the whole situation from the start. They said he set up the robbery, encouraged Gina and Kelvin to go through with it, and expected to collect money even without being at the scene. The entire case rested heavy on Gina's testimony. She struck a deal with the government that dropped her murder charges down to armed robbery and manslaughter, giving her a recommended 18-year sentence instead of something much more severe. Max's team pushed back hard, saying Gina shaped the story just to cut her own time. They pointed out that she once told the court Max didn't even know about a robbery at all, claiming she only used his name to convince Kelvin to move on the plan. The defense said she pointed the finger later because she was hurt and trying to save herself. But the jury didn't accept that story. Then, on September 3, 2009, Max B was sentenced to 75 years in prison, a number that hit the streets like a punch to the chest. Right around that same time, every hook Max ever sung, every melody he crafted, every cent made from his catalog flowed straight into Jim's pockets because of the deal he signed under pressure. Jim even joked about Max in public whenever he got the chance, calling him goofy names, brushing him off as irrelevant, and repeating the idea that Max was washed before his career ever really started. Jim talked like Max wasn't a threat at all, like he was just old inventory collecting dust on a back shelf that he used once and never needed again. But the streets didn't forget Max B, not for a second. They kept his name alive, louder than any courtroom could silence it. The streets never forgot Max, not then, not ever, and things weren't nearly as locked up as Jim Jones thought. Even behind prison walls, Max B refused to fade away. The streets still had real love for him, and his name carried a weight that couldn't be buried no matter how deep the system tried to hide it. Max stayed tapped in with French Montana, DJs, and independent labels, doing everything he could to stay present, stay relevant, and stay heard. Then in May 2010, everything flipped with one huge legal win that shifted the entire power dynamic. A judge ruled that Jim Jones no longer had control over Max B's music career. The court found that Max had already fulfilled both of the contracts he signed back in 2005 and 2007. In simple terms, Max was finally free, not physically free yet, but free from the paper chains that kept his creativity locked inside someone else's pockets. Max was still sitting in prison, but that contract being dead changed everything. He could finally release the album fans had been begging for. And in 2011, he dropped Vigilante Season. And anyone who ever doubted Max's influence got their answer loud and clear. His wavy style, that melodic street anthem energy he helped create, turned into the blueprint for a whole new generation. You couldn't turn on the radio without hearing echoes of Max in somebody's cadence, harmonies, or even the slang they used. Waves, vibes, freedom, all of it traced right back to him. Then came a twist nobody saw coming. In 2016, after 7 years inside, Max's new legal team dropped a major bomb in court. They argued that his original lawyer mishandled the entire case, saying the lawyer wasn't fully focused on defending Max the way he deserved, but instead hoping to cash in if Max beat the charges and blew up even bigger. This move, called post-conviction relief, actually worked. The judge threw out Max's original 75-year sentence. Then, Max took a plea for aggravated manslaughter, cutting 55 years off his time. His sentence dropped to 20 years, then down to 12, And with the years he had already served, a release date finally came into view.
Max wasn't gonna spend the rest of his life behind bars after all. His official release date was set for November 9th, 2025. By this point, Max B wasn't just a rapper. He was a legend, a myth, an influence that spread far beyond prison walls. His fingerprints were everywhere, from underground freestyles to major label albums. Kanye West even tried to name his 2016 album Waves and had to publicly shout Max out when fans reminded him where that whole movement came from. Kanye even featured Max's voice on the project. Drake and Wiz Khalifa both said Max influenced them. And even Jim Jones, someone who spent years downplaying Max, admitted in a rare honest moment that Max B could have been bigger than Drake if he had stayed free. Now with 2025 getting closer, one massive question hangs in the air. Are Max and Jim still enemies, or is the war finally over? Speaking from prison, Max sounded like a man who had evolved. He said he wanted to be better, a husband, a father of 4, and that the old anger wasn't controlling him anymore. He even hinted that maybe, just maybe, the beef could finally rest. But Jim Jones wasn't on that wave. Even though he and French Montana rebuilt their friendship and even made music together in 2023, Jim made it clear that Max was a different situation entirely. He said he didn't wish Max harm, but he wasn't trying to get close either. And with Max's release right around the corner, the streets are watching heavy to see what happens next.